She founded an architectural concrete company.
He founded a $100 million clothing company.
She took the world by storm as a social media star.
He took the world by storm as a famous serial entrepreneur.
Together we started a business.
And had babies.
Now we're figuring out the best ways to do both.
Join us as we learn from other entrepreneurs going through the same life struggles.
As they share their life hacks about success, love, kids,
and everything in between.
Hey, David.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, thank you for coming on, brother. We're so good to have you on here.
Are you kidding me? I have waited so long, not just to come on here, but to see you guys. You guys look great. It's such a privilege to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on your Instagram stories there last week.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
Do you do that all the time?
Yeah, I try to do it 5 or 6 days a week, really, especially now with people in transition, people trying to have the right mindset and heart set. So bringing on a whole bunch of different people to figure out who do I resonate with and what lessons can I learn?
Yeah, that's so good. Like I felt like I even learned something about myself just talking to you there. There's lots of things you don't normally talk about, and they're kind of brought out in conversation. When you have a good conversationalist, somebody who can bring that out of you.
Yeah, it's lessons and stories, right? I love to get people to tell me their story. And then you're sitting there processing it. And every time you tell the story, I think you learn a little bit more about yourself and the situation that happened.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you're so successful. So I know there's going to be lots for our listeners to learn from you. So you've had so much success, and with your success of your company, and you're an author and a speaker. But take us back to like when young David Meltzer, what do you think gave you the drive to head that direction? Because not everybody has that. We take that for granted that we're driven, but I think we can all kind of go back to some moment in our life that
there's a trigger point
us.
that just grew that mindset of how you became that successful, or what we thought was the most successful
person.
I think you guys are nailing it, right? Like we're born with these quantum potential. And it can be from generations, great grandparents, grandparents to us, but there's also, I believe, in past lives. So I believe I'm programmed to be a certain way, and there can be these certain things that happen in our life. And I know, Dan, you had one with your business partner. For me, it was 5 years old when my dad left, right? My dad was a hero. And I know it was that because I still get choked up when I say my dad left. Right. I still, there's something I'm still processing and learning within my own being. But at that time, my hero left me with my mom, who was raising 6 kids, and she was working as a 2nd grade teacher and packing our dinner in a station wagon so we could eat, and then going to fill turnstiles at the 7-Eleven with greeting cards. And, here's a highly educated woman, prideful. And I said to myself, man, I'm going to be rich. Like, I'm not living this way. Because I was super happy. I had these killer brothers, 1 sister, and extraordinary intellect. So there was a lot of stimuli around me. I was super happy, except for I'd catch my mom crying over finances, and I would break my heart. It still does. Like I the other day I got a 6-figure speaking opportunity, and I thought to myself, man, how many years did my mom struggle to make that much money? And like the Cameo, right? They pay me $100 for a 10-second, quib on Cameo to do something. And I'm like, how long did my mom have to work? Right? I think she made $17,000 in a year working 2 jobs, and it's like those kind of things to me. I just was driven to buy my mom a house and a car. I was driven to make her proud. I think I was also driven as a middle child to get attention. I wanted to stand out in a very academically competitive family.
Yeah, I guess you have how many brothers and sisters? They were all very smart from what I remember.
Yeah, all academic, 4 brothers and a sister, 6 of us total. All of them went to the Ivy Leagues. My mom's an educator, so her philosophy was, pretty much the fetus wasn't fully developed till after graduate school. Her favorite saying was doctor, lawyer, or failure.
That's great. And you actually lived up to that, right?
Yeah.
You eventually, so you have you're an attorney by trade, right? But you're
Yeah, I went
in
to
the
law school.
sports
Mom
space.
passed the bar. I actually, because I want to be rich, I tell people one of the biggest things, especially now that people do, they limit themselves. And Dan, we talked about this too,
Yeah.
limiting yourself with your point of entry. Because I just wanted to be rich, even when I graduated law school and took the bar, I had my options open. I was going for the highest bidder. If somebody would have told me I had to shovel shit with my hands for 6 days, but they're going to pay me $1 million, I would have done it happily. I was driven to make money and I wanted to buy that house and car. So I ended up being a salesperson out of law school in the internet in 1992. And another funny story is my mom actually said, I asked her, I go, Mom, should I be an oil and gas litigator, 6-figure job right out of law school, or should I sell legal research online as a salesperson? And she said, David, the internet's a fad. You better be a real lawyer. You're going to end up losing. You wasted law school. Do not be a salesperson. And I, for the first time, went against my mom. I went against her. And I always said, just because someone loves you doesn't mean they give you good advice. And I see so many kids today, they're under extraordinary pressure from their parents. But here's the problem, especially today. The world's changed more in 10 years than it has in 100 years.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Probably has changed more in 16 weeks than it has in 100 years.
Right.
But, that was before. So you're asking your parents who care so much about your safety, their main concern is for you to be happy and safe and healthy. So they're not going to tell you to be a freelancer. They don't understand, Fortnite. They don't understand the gaming industry. They don't understand all these different things that are really better industries to be in than being a doctor or a lawyer, unless that's your passion. If your passion is to help people as a doctor, I get it. But if you want to make money, being a doctor is not a great way to make money.
Right. Yeah, they don't have all those variables. And ultimately, especially loved ones, they just want the best for you and they don't want to see you get hurt. And and what they know as success isn't what maybe, we have more information and isn't what truly can be success. So how did you get into sports marketing? Walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah. So because I always kept my options open, I ended up going we sold in 1995, similar to you, Dan, we sold our company for 3.4 billion, West Publishing. I didn't own as much of it as you owned of Tap Out, but
we also didn't sell for 3.4 billion.
But I went to the Silicon Valley and became a true entrepreneur. I raised hundreds of millions of dollars in the technology space, wireless proxy server, ended up, most people don't know, CEO of the world's first smartphone. So I was the CEO of the world's Windows CE, worked with Microsoft and raised millions of dollars, was a multimillionaire. Then I retired, semi-retired, basically means they kicked me out because I was more a sales guy than a true CEO. I was 32 years old. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I met Lee Steinberg, the most notable sports agent in the world. And in 48 hours, because of my skills, my knowledge, and my desire, he offered me a chief operating officer job of the most notable sports agency ever. And then 6 months later, I became the CEO. That's where I met Warren Moon, the Hall of Fame quarterback,
right,
who we met, became best friends. And we started Sports One Marketing over a decade ago, specifically to leverage all those athletes, celebrities, entertainers, to leverage all the big events that we were working at and the charities, because everything I ever did had to have a charitable purpose or cause tied to it. I don't necessarily, as much as I love money, I always say money surrounds me, but I mostly concern myself with what surrounds me. And I'm a big faith person like you two. And I think that understanding for me, you talked about your parents only want the best for you and you to be safe. Well, my bigger parents, we could call God, Jesus, Muhammad, whatever you believe in. Think about this. Your parents only have so much capability to take care of you, and they would give you everything they had. What if you felt the same way about God or Jesus or Muhammad or Joseph Smith or Buddha, whoever you believe in? What if they felt the same way about your parents, but they have everything at their disposal? And you had the faith that they're going to treat you the same way that your mom treats you, right? Would give you everything. It gives you a different sense of meaning. And I think especially now in compressed times of uncertainty, to blend the pragmatic world with the faithful world is so important. And I would, 10 years ago, if you would have told me that I'd be with Dan and Caldwell and his beautiful wife talking about faith, I would have said, who do you think you're talking to, right? But now I'm driven and understand for the betterment of all, that there's something bigger that we can trust and be kind and do good things for, and it will all come through us for others.
Absolutely.
Now, I know you had some dark days in your life when you were, and maybe you can tell me, clarify, because some of these things, I think you're so transparent when it comes to this stuff. And a lot of people don't like to speak about it, including myself. Nobody likes to talk about the bad times too much, but you're very transparent when you talk about this stuff.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
We
that's
admire
great
that
because
so much.
it helps people. It really does, because everybody's going to come into that moment in their life in one way or another. It may not be as bad as yours was, but they're going to have that in their life in some way.
They're going to have to face the truth and really discover why they're here and what their purpose is.
Yeah.
And you had that coming to Jesus.
Yeah. Three things happened to me. I'll tell a quick story if you don't mind, because
please.
I had everything, right? I grew up poor, and you guys know what this feels like, right?
Yeah.
Houses, cars, anything I want, I could buy. And I always said I was born in a world of not enough, where everything happened to me as a victim, right? And I would say, me, why do they have parents? Why do they have a nice house? Why do they get to go to summer camp? Why me? And then I make all this money, and I'd come into a world where I would buy things to make me happy. I'd buy things I don't need. I'd buy more things I didn't need, different things I didn't need. And I'd buy them to impress people I didn't even like. Like I'd buy them for the wrong reasons. Then three things happened to change my world into not the world of to me or not the world of for me. Number one, at 30 years old, I told you my dad left when I was 5.
Yeah.
At 10 years old, my dad was still my hero. I didn't understand deadbeat dads, but my dad forgot my birthday, which was bad enough at 10, but he lied to me. He told me he didn't forget my birthday. He doesn't believe in birthdays. And it crushed me because he celebrated my sibling's birthday, his, wife who was closer to my age than his birthday. Like, I knew he was lying. And I told my mom, he is a liar, a cheater, a manipulator, back-end seller, overseller. I hate him. At 30 years old, he gives me a birthday present after 20 years, a beautiful sport coat that I put on. And I'm crying. My wife's like, why are you crying? I go, I think my dad finally gets it. We can reacquaint each other. It's a dream of mine to be close to my own father. And I opened it up, and he tore out all the lining of the jacket. What? I got so upset. I'm like, why is he punishing me? I called him, I'm like, Dad, why are you punishing me on my 30th birthday? Why are you doing? He was like, I'm not punishing you. I go, why would you give me a jacket I can't wear? He goes, because it's not for wearing. I go, what's it for? He said, it's to remind you that you can't be the richest man in the cemetery. It's to remind you money doesn't buy love or happiness. I want you buried in that jacket to remind you can't take anything with you when you're gone. I want you to hang it in your closet and remind you you're just like me. Now, at 30 years old, I wish I could tell you that I understood what he was trying to teach me.
Right.
But I wasn't. So what my dad got was, F you, I'm nothing like you, you're a liar, a cheater, and I hung up on him. Now, 6 years later, I'm 36 years old, running the most notable sports agency, Newport Center Drive there in Fashion Island, looking out over Catalina Island. I have everything in the world, and I go golfing at Pelican Hill with my best friend from the fourth grade. Yeah. Fourth grade, I take my best friend out. He's actually such an old friend and good friend that he asked my wife to go study with me for me at 6th grade camp. And she said, no, tell him to ask me himself. And he embarrassed me and told everyone, dude, she said no. And so
I had no idea you guys went that far back. I'm sorry to cut in, but wow.
I threw an egg at my wife at 6th grade camp. I hit her in the back of the head because she embarrassed me. And she stayed away from me for years and years. So, people say, you guys have known each other since the 4th grade. She skateboarded by my house in the 4th grade. And talk about kismet or how the universe works.
Yeah.
I felt something in 4th grade when she skated. I knew I had to go out with her. Now, she hated me. I never thought it would ever happen. But, lo and behold, in my late 20s, somebody pushed me into her in Mexico. And we literally changed our lives from our first date on. I take this friend, Rob, who's a straight shooter golfing. And I said, hey, man, come to the Masters with me. We're going to go to the cabins with Curtis Strange. I got Chris Carter and Warren Moon and Fred McGriff. All these big stars are coming. You're going to love it. And he looks at me and goes, not a chance. I was like, Rob, why don't you go? It's the Masters, the best ever. He goes, I don't like who you hang out with, and I don't like what you're doing. And
Wow.
I looked at him. I said, come on, man. I don't do what those other guys do. I'm not partying and going to the strip. I'm not doing any of that stuff. He goes, Dave, you can lie to me. I get choked up again. But
Wow.
yourself, right?
Mhm.
There's a book written, Don't Take Yes for an Answer. And both of you know this to be true. Everyone starts telling us yes because
Right.
they want something from us.
Yes.
Yep.
They want the
Yeah,
down
exactly.
payments, they want the cars, they want the boats, they want to go on the plane with us. They
Yeah.
start telling you yes. My friend Rob was the only one to tell me the truth. All those years I've been going, even my wife wasn't telling me the truth. But 2 weeks later, my wife told me the truth, because the changing point of my life was that 2 weeks after Rob told me that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the Grammy Awards with a rapper named Little John. Now,
Yeah.
my wife told me not to go. She said, David, you're not paying attention to work. You're partying way, way too much. You have
Mhm.
3 daughters under 8 years old. You're not paying attention to them. You can't go. And I lied to her and said I had a business meeting. I changed clothes in the car. I came home wasted at 5:30 in the morning into Rancho Santa Fe. And there was my wife waiting for me. And she finally wasn't telling me yes. In fact, what she told me was that I better take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become, that she wasn't happy. She was going to leave me, and that she was worried that I'd end up dead if I didn't take stock in who I was. Now, I wish I would have told you I listened to her that night.
Oh,
Right.
Went to bed.
David.
I woke up. All I could think about was getting a divorce. All I could think about was, oh, yeah, money buys happiness. I'm going to take your money. I was turning directly into my father. I was going to do everything I could to hurt my wife. And then, as I'm thinking who I can call, I look over in my closet, just like her skateboarding by my house. There's that jacket staring at me.
Oh
And
my
I remember
gosh.
thinking, oh my God, I don't hate my father. I hate myself, man. I'm a liar, a cheater, manipulator, back end seller, I hate myself. And my wife is right, and my Rob is right, and all those other people that don't mean anything to me, I don't need them anymore. And I literally took stock in who I was, like my wife said. And for 14, almost 15 years now, I've lived every day trying to live to my pursuit of that potential with one gratitude, right? To find the light, the love, and the lessons like my mom taught me. My mom would not let me come down to breakfast with the wrong attitude. She would tell me, go up, make a list of what you're thankful
That's
for. I'm not
Right.
listening to the why me.
That's like my mom.
Forgiving,
Oh God.
I lost my forgiveness. I had so much, I had to forgive myself. I was so hard on other people because I hated myself.
Mm.
Accountability, I lived my entire rich life. Blame, shame, justification. All three, I was not accountable anymore. I just had to ask myself, what did I do to attract this to myself? What am I supposed to learn from it? And I learned about living in this world of more than enough. I changed the paradigm. I thought that I was a good person because I used to say, I'll give to get. I would give so much money away to be acknowledged. Everything was a trade. It was a negotiation. Everything to me was this sports agent world of I'll give to receive. And everyone
Right.
was super generous. I switched my worlds. No longer was I a victim, not to me. No longer was I buying things I didn't need to impress people I didn't like. But I moved to a world of more than enough. I now said to myself, I'm going to receive everything the universe has for me, that God has gifted me with, and allow it to come through me with appreciation, gratitude, and my values, and give it all away. And I wasn't going to trade it. It was simply through me unconditionally. And I changed that day. And it took years. It didn't happen overnight.
Right.
It's like golf. You don't just play golf and you're great one night. I practice. And this is why I'm just so grateful to have my wife, because she stayed with me. She helped me, do the right things. And it was amazing. The weird thing about my life is I ended up losing everything 2 years after I considered I bottomed out. So 2 years after I, had changed, I
You're
lost.
going through this transformation, and then all of a sudden,
full
this
meal
full
deal,
financial
full
loss.
journey.
I went from over $100 million, 33 homes, a golf course, ski mountain, anything you could think of. You guys get it. Into a rented house, rented furniture, one car. I came home with my first paycheck. Lee didn't fire me. I told my wife, hey, I want to give part of this paycheck to our high school. We went to high school together. I said, I want to give a kid a scholarship to college because I never would have went to college. My friends, my siblings never would have went to college. But for someone like me, I'm going to start off right. I want to help those kids. My wife said to me, started crying. She said, oh my God, you finally get it. I
Yeah.
said, what do you mean? She goes, you finally trust the universe. She goes, do you really understand? I go, I totally get it. She goes, then double it. I looked at her. I said, not a chance. I don't trust the universe that much.
Yeah.
But I've worked, but this is my wife, right? I've worked. She has such faith. She had more faith in me than I had in myself. She has more faith in the universe. She has more faith in other people. And she taught me one thing, the feeding chain. This was, and I think it's really important today. She said to me, there's a feeding chain. One, if something feeds you, the news, your podcast, your books, your friends, your family, if they feed you, if they inspire you, then feed it.
Yeah.
If they don't, let it fall away, because there's too many things around you that will feed you. Just let it fall away. And if they bleed you, if they hurt you, if they bleed you, then fire it. Get rid of it from your life. You got to take action. And she actually made me fire friends. And I called up several of my friends and said, hey, this isn't about you. This is about me. I don't like myself when I'm around you. I don't like what I do when I'm around you, and I'm accountable, but I'm not going to be around you anymore until I figure out how I can.
Yeah, I like that story. You
I
speak about
love
that in the
that.
game time decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really
So
hard moment for
powerful.
everybody, because I think anybody who's successful, I think, has done that in their life at some point or another, where they've just had to kind of, and it might not even be, it might just be a different mindset. You know, sometimes it's not necessarily that they were bad for them,
No,
but
that's
just
where they fall away,
mindset.
right? If
Yeah,
you
they
let
just fall away.
outgrown friends, let them fall away.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't give all that intention and attention to people that are not feeding you some type of inspiration, to that connection to allow you to grow and accelerate. Because the more you receive, the more you can give. That's to our children, to our family members, to our communities. The more you receive, you're an expansive being, right?
Yeah.
We fill it with everything we can.
Yeah, it's got to be so hard when you're in that position. Because I can imagine, like, just coming up, even in your first come up, the first time when you're coming up, you know, after losing everything, you have this self-confidence thing, and you've lost everything. There's so much pressure to come back from that. How did you deal with that with your wife and your family? How old were your kids at the time?
3 girls under 10. So
Oh
I'm
my
sitting in that rented house with rented furniture, and my wife is pregnant with our 4th, which ended up to be my son.
How'd you get the strength for that? Like, I mean, I can't even imagine how hard that would be.
Can I just say real quick, like, when she skateboarded past him, she was meant for him. Like, it was planned.
Yeah, we always believe everything
crazy.
happens for a reason.
I do too. And my wife believes that as well.
Goosebumps.
And I'm so blessed. But what's funny for me, how I got past it is I realized that pain, that mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and financial pain was not a barrier. It wasn't a resistance to me. All it was an indicator. And I had a lot of, like you said, I had a lot of pain to deal with, a lot. And so I said to myself, this is not a stop sign. It's not a barrier to me. No. This pain is an indicator. It's a turn signal, and it's pushing me. This is where my faith came in. I started being faithful. It's pushing me to something better. Why do I think this is pushing me to something worse? The guy, I used to blame this guy for making me go bankrupt because he was a neighbor and he committed fraud on me and all this stuff. And I blamed him, and I spent all my cash trying to prove myself right. And it was just a mess, right?
Yeah.
When I came to peace and I took accountability and forgiveness and all the things that faith allows me to do, I walked up to him at a tailgate years later. I was already back to being a multimillionaire. And I walked up to him. He thought I was going to hit him. He literally, and I put out my hand and I said, hey, I just want to thank you. You changed my life, man. Thank you. And I mean it.
Yeah.
He still doesn't know what
Yeah.
that, I choked up. He's like, what the hell is that? Because he was a turn signal, and my life was pushing me to something better. And all I didn't know is so many people, they don't realize they're being pushed to something better. And they put time as a variable. They're like, oh, why me? I'm a try me person. Every time I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, try me. I had my uncle, my wife's uncle, I overheard him, and it fired me up so much. We had lost everything 2 years after my transformation. And I kind of walk in, my wife's crying. It's like, I don't know what to do. we're losing it. I mean, there's moving trucks taking shit out of my house, a foreclosure sign in my big home, let alone everything else that was taken away, right?
Mm-hmm.
I literally walk in and she's crying, and I'm torn up. Like you said, it's so much pressure. You see your mom crying over finance, try your wife, because you've screwed up, right? And she has all those kids and she's pregnant and she's stressed. And she said to her uncle, I don't know what to do. Do you think we're going to be okay? Do you think Dave can pull us out of this? And he said, oh man, because he's known me since I've been 10 as well. My wife's cousin was one of my best friends. So I had seen her all the time. So the uncle's known me since I was 10. He said, oh my God. He goes, let me just tell you this. I've seen Dave Meltzer. Everything has gone his way his entire life since he was 10 years old, since I've known him. He goes, I just can't wait to see what he does with his back against the wall. Right? That fired me up.
Yeah.
That was exactly right. I felt a freedom as well. Right? I felt so much pressure being a multimillionaire 9 months out of law school. All my friends, everything around me was revolving around money. My whole identity, the only thing that ever indicated how I felt was my bank account.
Right.
I had to readjust that to literally have a new thermostat in life, which was for me happiness, how I was feeling about myself and how much I could do for others. And you know what? It ended up in the same material wealth that I had before, but this time with a different purpose and passion. It is an amazing feeling to live my life in faith and understand the pragmatic world like I do. I'm one of the rare people. I live in two currencies. Money is a currency to me, an object of energy I put into the flow to get what I want. It doesn't buy me happiness, but it allows me to shop. And if I shop for the right things, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And the other currency is faith. And I think a lot of people should listen up when I talk about it. Faith is just like money. It's an object of energy that I put into the flow to get what I want. And if I ask for what I want, the right things, I'm going to be happy. If I ask for the wrong things, I'm going to get what I don't want. And I'm going to be unhappy. Faith is the same as money. They're both the exact same. One's at a lower vibrating world of this pragmatic universe where you can buy things with it. And the other is a much higher vibrating world, a frequency that bank has unlimited resources. Faith, you can ask for things that other people have never even imagined. Right? If Jeff Bezos would have told me, and we're about the same age, when he was starting up and he's in his garage selling books, if he would have said, hey, Dave, someday I'm going to be the richest man in the world and make $1 trillion, I would have told him to stop smoking that.
Absolutely. I think there's nobody that wouldn't have. Yeah.
Dude, you're crazy. Yeah. But that's what faith will get you. Money didn't get Jeff Bezos $1 trillion. His faith that he could think outside of the limit that we put on ourselves. I live my life now in between two things, limitlessness and infinity. And I know with gratitude, I'm only here for an instant. I'm only here in this embodiment for one instant. So I want to learn as much as I can to help as many people as I can.
I think that speaks a lot to, I think you kind of have a mantra, maybe you can explain it better, that you want to bring happiness to over 1 billion people. I mean, that's 1 billion people are a lot of people. It's what, 1/7 of the world or whatever it is today. I mean, that's a lot of people. How do you speak to that? Like, how do you plan on doing something like that? Because I know it's a big goal, and but maybe the best time in the world to be able to complete a goal like that right now.
So I stood on a stage and I said to everyone on the stage, I said, who here thinks I can change the world? Very few, if any, people raised their hand. I said, who here thinks if I could empower over 1 billion people in the world to be happy, that would change the world? Everyone raised their hand. Right. I said, okay, so who here thinks that I can empower over 1 billion people to be happy in my lifetime? Nobody raised their hand. I said, okay. I said, how about this? Who here thinks in my lifetime I can find 1,000 people like the Caldwells? If I can find 1,000 people like you guys, who here thinks I could find 1,000 people like you that could empower 1,000 to empower 1,000?
Right.
And everyone raised their hand. I said, well, can we do the math together? I said, if I can empower you to empower 1,000, that's 1 million people. 1,000 times 1,000 is 1 million. If I find 1,000 of you, and then if you can empower them to empower 1,000, 1,000 times 1,000 is 1 million. 1 million times 1,000 is 1 billion. 1/7 to 1/8 of the world happy. It would create a collective consciousness of abundance, of more than enough, of everything for everyone. People would be able to access what they want to be happy, not necessarily things they don't need to impress people they don't like, not ego-based conscious things, but
Yeah.
everything they want in desire for happiness. Imagine, happy people don't get sick. Happiness strengthens your financial, mental, physical, and spiritual being. It actually strengthens your immune system, so it actually protects you against all the other viruses as well.
Yeah.
Imagine what the world would be like if I truly, and I will, empower over 1 billion people. My favorite thing is when I explained the math, every single person raised their hand when I said, who now thinks that I can change the world? And when I started saying that, my biggest fear, my family telling me, who do I think I am? Tony Robbins, Jesus Christ. Who do I think I am?
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I am actually one, right? Like I know the reason I can do it is I am connected to God and to Jesus and to whatever that's why I can do it. It's not me, it's coming through me, right? And they've given me the power to articulate this and to inspire other people, but just not many, just 1,000 in my lifetime. That's not a lot of people.
It's not, and it's so possible.
No,
I think,
yeah.
and it so reminds me of my partner who passed away, who started the business with me, Tap Out. Charles,
His quote,
he had a
yeah.
quote that was somewhat similar.
Yeah.
When, because we'd had these conversations, these same type of conversations, like we want to be able to affect people. We even had sayings like to affect and infect was one of our quotes. And we just wanted to be able to affect people with whatever we were doing. And it may be on a smaller scale, but he came up with this quote. I may not be able to touch 1 million people, but I might touch that one person that touches 1 million people.
Yeah.
And you just don't know. You don't know who you're going to run into, who you change their life and make them happy. And then all of a sudden they affect a billion people. One person can do that today with the internet and all the other tools that we have. So yeah, I don't doubt you're going to do it. I don't doubt you're going to do it.
Neither will you. Like I know for a point that people reach out to you all the time that you've never even heard of. And they're like, thank you so much. You changed my life. And I'm sure there's a list of those people because of the internet, because of the accessibility. And that's what's so powerful about how important you two are and everyone else is. And we just have to start recognizing that and unifying with that goodness and not keep on trying to separate ourselves, create interferences, voids, and shortages over silly things.
Yes.
Absolutely silly things.
What are some of the changes you made when you were at, after post you're losing all your money and starting to come back? What are some of the focus changes that you made, some deliberate changes that you made in your life?
And was it someone that you connected with or fell on your path that introduced you to this, I don't know, coming to God moment or your
meditation,
faith?
Yeah, meditation was a big thing. I met a woman on an airplane going to India, and she looked at me and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, in my mind, I was still in that arrogance. So I'm like, "Am I okay? Do you know who I am?" Right? I'm Jerry Maguire. You know who I am? Right?
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she goes, "Oh." I said, "Why do you say that?" She said, "Because you have so much light, but you're blocking it." She said, "Do you meditate?" And I literally went on this diatribe. Meditate? I don't have time to meditate. Only people that are sick, broke, living on their mom's couch meditate. Why would I meditate? I grew up with nothing. I made everything happen. I'm a multimillionaire. I run the most notable sports agency. Are you kidding me? Meditate? And she said to me, "That's too bad because I could teach you to vibrate faster." And I looked at her like, "Are you insane? What does that even mean?" And she said, "Well, everything vibrates: earth, plants, animals, humans, sound, light, and thought." And she said, "You can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than you. So I can raise your vibration through meditation to be aware of more things." And then she said, "Do you know what vibrates the fastest though?" And I looked at her rolling my eyes. "No." And she said, "The truth. The truth vibrates the fastest. And I can teach you to raise your awareness closer and closer to your truth, your potential, your God." And I said, "Wow." She said, "I'm doing a workshop. Would you like to learn how to meditate?" I said, "Not a chance. I don't have time." And she said to me, "This is great. Talking about meeting someone where they're at." She said, "Well, that's too bad. I could teach you to raise your awareness of when to buy or sell." I said, "What?" She said, "I could raise your awareness. You'll know when to buy or sell. Is that
Oh,
a
now,
business?
now you're listening, right?
I'm
Now
like, I'm
she's talking
signing
new
up.
language.
Yeah.
I signed up. I signed up. And so she tricked me into meditation. And I have meditated for 15 years, 20 minutes a day. I theta meditate. I'm a quantum healer. I'm on the Transformational Leadership Council with Jack Camp, all the people from The Secret, Jack Canfield, Bob
Right.
Proctor, Lisa Nichols. I've written books with Jack Canfield. I've written 4 books that blend spirituality. I'm in the Think and Grow Rich Legacy movie and TV show and book, all of those different things coming from the guy who literally wouldn't even meditate until someone said I could make more money meditating.
Wow. Hey, don't even start with me.
Because
Don't even start
I'm
with
not
me.
going to get into my own
No,
story,
she's-
but like last year when I was at the darkest time in my life, I swear this earth angel came up to me in the naturopath's office, wasn't my doctor, but she just looked at me and she said, "You're terrified." And she just introduced me to that world. I'm still it's my first year. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm doing a lot of, the meditation apps.
Yeah.
But it's so powerful. And I'm like,
she does
"Jen,
something
you
called
need to try."
him-ha or something. I know.
It's an app called Brain Tap. And there's all kinds of
You gotta
different
get
types
Muse.
of
You gotta try Muse. I'll send you one.
Muse. Okay.
You'll love it.
Okay.
You put on your head, it actually helps your frequency in meditation. So
David, convince me. Like I'm like,
And our
I
audience
don't
out
have the
there,
time.
like-
I tell her this. I don't have the
But you can
time.
start small. Like I'm
let me
still
explain why
learning.
that doesn't work. Here's how stupid I am, and hopefully this will resonate with everyone.
Okay.
Because I know people are out there going, "This is a waste of my time," and
Yeah.
you're so far in your own way. So I go not only to meditate, and I learn how to do past life regressions and body scans and quantum healing things, and I'm totally into it. And I go to a money workshop with the energy of money. And I go to this workshop, I learn about shifting my own energy and receiving and all this. And I literally double the amount of money I make within a month. So I go to my business partner and I'm like, "Dude, we should have this this workshop. We should send some guys over to do it." And he's like, "We should do it for the whole company." And my answer was, "No way, that'll be too expensive." Right? And he's like, you
just
swear that everyone's doubling their money.
Yeah.
Like, you got all these people in our business doubling the money, and you think this is too expensive because everyone's out of the work for 2 days. And
Yeah.
but this is the way that we get in our own way, and we
Right.
think, you know what, I don't have time to meditate. When you said that, that was me. You don't have time not to meditate. And let me tell you this, everyone out there, 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. Take 2 minutes a day. It's like golf. Here's the idea that helped me. It's just practicing being quiet. Don't try to force anything. Just practice to be quiet. And what happens with hyper actualizing people like Dan and myself is we can't be quiet for 2 minutes. And so what I tell people is forget or F meditation at first. Just make it a practice to try to be quiet for a minute or two a day and watch what that does for you as you build and build over 15 years. And it starts aggregating in compound interest, just like your money does.
Yeah.
Your meditation will, except for meditation has a lot better economics and results to it than even compound interest on your money.
Well, I'm honestly going to try, David. I'm going to sit down. She's been at me for like months.
I'm not a pro either. I'm
she
figuring
loves
this
you.
out. And I was there too. I was like, oh gosh, meditation.
Yeah.
It took something really big to bring this angel into my life, to introduce me to it. Or I don't think I could have gone through the surgery with the right mindset or through this whole battle. But
she shows me myself a lot. I think that reminded me a lot of like when you were talking about your wife. She definitely puts the mirror up a lot with me. And I realize that I'm maybe not, I have this vision of myself of who I think I am. And I try, I feel like I'm, there I go again. I feel like I'm a good person. I feel like I treat people right.
Yeah.
And then, but I do ego up a
you
lot.
are a good person.
And I do try to be good to people, but I do have an ego. I can't help it. I don't know where it comes from.
We all do, right? Live to your potential.
We all do.
Yeah, live to your potential. Here's how I help people that are hyper successful and actualizing. Hey, you're happy where you're at, right? You're happy where you're at.
Yeah.
Aim towards somewhere better that you think you can be, and have faith you'll end up somewhere better than that. And so no matter where you are, you have unlimited potentials, and we're limiting ourselves. When we tell ourselves, I'm a good person, no, you're not good enough, Dan. You could be better. And I'm a
Right.
nice person. You're not. You could be nicer. And
Mm.
on the scale, comparatively, right? Comparison's the thief of all joy anyway. But for me, I'm always saying to myself, I can be nice. I don't say I am nice. I can be nicer. I can be kinder. I can be more generous. I can be
Yeah.
more honest. I can be healthier. All these different things that I want in my life, the non-negotiables of my life, I want more out of myself.
Yeah.
And that
That's
has
how we
helped me a
raise our
lot.
And
kids.
I'm that way.
So
I actually am working a lot
yeah.
towards that. And that's what she's opened up for me. I think that mirror, she said somehow she picks out, the pain points that I don't realize are pain points, but
Not to be hurtful,
she'll point
to
them
be
out for me.
Right.
helpful.
Yeah. And then I
I
go,
want him to be the best and the
after a day,
happiest
you
that he
walk
can
out
be.
of the room saying, no, I'm not like that. But then you sit on it for like 24 hours and you start to think about that, maybe I am a little bit like that and maybe I can be better. And I'm trying to get better in all other parts of my life. Why can't I get better at that too? Relationships and
She's
I
planting
think
seeds. She's
we're on
planting
that
seeds under
journey.
trees.
I
it's
Planting
think
seeds under
we're on that
trees.
journey together to be the best that we can, because life, it can go by so quickly. And I think I know that's why we started this podcast too, because we keep getting all these emails of people asking us to help them. And I'm like, we got to tap into our Rolodex, because everybody has different answers. And there's someone out there right now that needs to listen to exactly what you're saying, or what our experience is. And
yeah,
Love it.
that brings us to happiness, because I think that's what we're really after, right? Money not that money itself is going to make us happy, but it
no,
allows us to
no.
do things and be comfortable
Yeah.
so that we can be happy. And I think I heard you describe happiness. I wrote it down here. Happiness as the enjoyment of the constant, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of your potential. That's very deep.
And
And could you maybe
explain
explain
that.
that a little bit more? Because
Yeah.
I think if
So
you
number
analyze it, you
one,
get it.
Yeah.
happiness is to enjoy that, right? So the idea of enjoying would be, are you capable of finding the light, the love, and the lessons and everything? And I'll use you two as an example, because from the outside, everyone would look at your family and say, oh my gosh, they have no suck. Their life must be perfect. And what I've learned from being, around the greatest celebrities, athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and billionaires,
Yeah.
is that everyone has the exact same amount of suck in their lives. And
Mm.
what makes people happy is the ability to enjoy or find the light, the love, and the lessons in the suck. Learn
Yeah.
to love to take out the trash. Learn to love what you do.
Yeah.
And then if you can do that consistently, you can take advantage of the compound interest that we were talking about, the aggregate effect of accumulation. And that's every day consistent. Then if you do it persistently, because I believe the one thing I look for example, when I invest in an entrepreneur, is that they won't quit on me, that they have a desire, that they must be what they can be. And, some people, they're still developing that muscle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Other people have developed that muscle that they must be what they can be. And everyone who's at
Mm.
the top of their game must be. And
Mhm.
then finally, pursuing his happiness. I have a friend, Chris Gardner. He wrote and lived the pursuit of happiness. I always joke with him. I go, you screwed up that movie for everyone. He said, what do you mean? I said, there is no pursuit of happiness. Happiness is the pursuit. When you're in pursuit, you are happy. It's impossible to be sad while you're pursuing something. And then
Right.
the last part is essential. Pursuing what? Your potential, not Dave Meltzer's, not your parents'
Mm.
idea, right? People, here's real simple where they fall down. They either vote for what other people want for them,
Yeah.
and when it comes up in their life, elected in their life, they resent it. Or worse, most people vote for what they don't want in their lives. And then when that comes up for them, they're
Yeah.
pissed off and sad and resentful. Instead, pursue your potential, what you want, according to your values. And you can change them every day. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
pursue what you want with the consistent, persistent pursuit. And I promise you will not only enjoy it, but overall, you'll be much happier.
Yeah. That's so true.
That's great.
I know a lot of people come up to me, and I'm sure you get this too a lot. People are trying to figure out how to be successful, these beginning entrepreneurs. And I think we talked a little bit about this on your show when we were on that morning. I get so many people come up and want to learn how to make money or how to make $1 million. They want that Lamborghini. You know, I think maybe even some of them have heard me tell my story because I was that person, right? And I'm sure you were that person too. You know, I had the Lamborghini logo tattooed on my arm. I said, one day, one day, one day. And as soon as that first $1 million got put in my bank account, guess what I went and bought? A Lamborghini. Because, you know, I needed that to fulfill myself. But then I realized later that that wasn't, I mean,
and
day
everybody
two,
took notice. Like even your family today, they're like, we've never seen Dan happier than right now.
Yeah, when you know, it wasn't the cars, it wasn't, none of that makes you happy. And it's a long road to realize that. Do you think that the young entrepreneurs of today going through that kind of a rite of passage is just something that they need to do? Or do you think that,
or is there something that we
can enlighten them? Do you think we're just talking to walls when we keep trying to speak this to them?
Yeah, that's an important
It's
question.
a generalization, but most of the entrepreneurs or young people have to learn from, I joke around, but they have to learn for themselves. My teenage daughters, myself, I always say they don't listen to me, but they watch me. They watch me. And as much as they watch me, they still want to put their hand in the fire to see if it actually burns. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I have really come to resolve that, hey, let these kids put their hand in the fire, let them buy the Ferrari, the Lamborghini, but let me empower with some tools that says, hey, it's cool to buy some things that you may not need to impress other people you may not like, but learn from it. And when you learn from it, then you can decide to get rid of it. Right? Learn from it. Maybe you can mitigate buying it by saying, hey, I've always wanted a Lamborghini, but I'm going to buy it as an investment as well. I'm going to be really smart. I'm going to buy one that's used. I'm going to buy it from an auction. I'm going to have, you know, maybe I'll lease it for a year. Although it's expensive, I'm going to try it out. So
out of your system,
you can get a nice compromise if we empower people and say, look, everyone should own what they want to own. But I take a different approach. Let's learn from it. And you don't got to go mitigate your risk and learn from it. And so you don't need to always, you know, buy a huge home. Go ahead and rent it for a month. See what it's like and then decide. So these are some of the lessons I think that have helped. But yes, they have to experience for themselves. They'll never be able to. It's like this. What if I told you this salmon is delicious and I sat there in front of you all day long going, it's so good. You should really eat salmon. Until you eat salmon, you don't know if it's good or not.
Right.
So it doesn't help if I tell you it sucks or if it's good. You're going to want to taste it for yourself.
Yeah, it's so true. And you know, it's funny is probably even when I was trying to come up, I probably heard people tell me the same thing. That car's not going to make you happy. This stuff's not going to make you happy. It's not, we still don't drive nice cars. We do. But you know, that's just, I guess, maybe a metaphor for other things, lots of things that you think are going to make you happy.
I buy my kids nice cars and have my wife have a really nice car. So I drive a Volt. So I stay humble, but I can jump into AMG anytime I want. Or I bought her a 55 Ford Thunderbird for her 50th birthday. So I got my, it's the secret to having kids. Buy the kids all the cool shit that you want to. It's like, oh, I don't own anything. Well, but my daughter does.
Same way. Yep. I drive a truck. She drives a Bentley.
Exactly. But every once in a while, you want your ego to play. You're like, I'll jump in that thing.
So being an entrepreneur, obviously it can get really stressful, and with the 4 kids and just juggling it all. How do you build your relationship to be strong with your wife? Like how?
Great question.
What are you guys doing?
What are you guys doing?
For me, let me just tell you my 3 non-negotiables. I believe you should have a routine, but I have 3 non-negotiables. That means it's an adaptable routine. Every single day, I do it by time. So I spend a minimum of an hour a day on my health. And the reason is, when I made my recovery, I asked my wife, what can I do for you? And she said to me, I was getting heavy. You know, I was putting family first, work second, my health third. And she looked at me and she said, oh, you know what you can do for me? You can start taking care of yourself, because I know you. If you take care of yourself, you'll be able to take care of others. And you're not. You're getting heavy. Or you take care of. That's what I want you to do for me. So minimum of 1 hour a day on my health. Then the cool thing is, this saved my life. Minimum of 30 minutes with my wife a day, 7 days a week, no matter where I am on earth. minimum of 30 minutes with my 10-year-old son every day, no matter where I am. Minimum of 2 minutes a day with my 3 teenage daughters. I asked for 5. They gave me 2. But, and minimum of 1 minute with my mom every day to tell her 4 things. Mom, I'm healthy, which is the number 1 thing your parents want to hear. 2, I'm happy. Number 2 thing they want to hear. 3, I love you. And 4, I appreciate you. If you tell your parents that every day, your relationship will change. But for me, my life and wife in relationship with her has changed because 30 minutes a day is worth more than 30 hours on a Saturday. Every single day. I don't miss, minimum, by the way. It's not I have a clock going, okay, our 30's up. It's minimum of 30 minutes a day.
Minimum.
And we go walking together. We do things together. We have date nights all the time. You know, I always joke around, we'll say my girlfriend and my son, who's very sensitive. He's like, Dad, you're married. I'm like, no, your mom's my girlfriend, moron.
That's awesome. Yeah, I guess if we treated our wives more like girlfriends, then we probably would.
You give what you want. Great lesson.
Much happier.
If you look for your wife to be a B word, you're going to find the B word in every wife. If you look for your wife to be a queen, you're married to a queen. And I've literally reconstructed my mindset of my wife of looking for her superpowers, and all the things that become annoying in a relationship, I love. I find them cute, fun. They don't get to me anymore because I've actually shifted and found the light in it instead of getting aggravated and annoyed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's so good. Do you have any rituals that you do with your family? Anything that you guys do together?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, certain holidays, I celebrate anything celebratable.
Mine.
Yeah. So we family dinners are really big when all 6 of us are together. In fact, a producer, they came over and they're like, we need to make a TV show, Dinner with the Meltzers. I'm like, they will take my kids away. We
That's
cannot
awesome.
do, I go, you can base a TV show about the Meltzers, but you cannot go to dinner. So one of the family rituals are how we celebrate holidays all together, but most is the family dinners. We all sit down. And part of the reason is my mom taught me, when we got older, the siblings, we put my mom through a PhD education program at Columbia, and she's an educator, right? And so she came back and I said, Mom, what's the number 1 takeaway that you learned from your program? And she said, you know what the number 1 common denominator of kids who go to the Ivy Leagues are? I said, wealth. She said, no. I said, oh, the amount they read. No. Oh, private school. No, I couldn't figure it out. She said, the number 1 common denominator of the kids that go to the Ivy Leagues is they have dinner with their family every night.
Oh, really? Wow. That's pretty.
So that became our ritual of importance of the community, of being together, all of us. And people are allowed to leave early, but the dinner, you know, when they're there, all 6 of us, we arrange the time, and that's the biggest ritual I can recommend as well to others.
Yeah, we started doing that at home. We we found ourselves
when the kids were young,
eating, and in the kitchen and just
From the
grabbing
TV,
food
outside.
and TV. And we just said, you know what, we need to.
We're always working.
Yeah, because we're always working.
That was our priority, and then.
Well, it's a lot of the pandemic stuff too.
No. I'm talking about before, before I had that thing.
Yeah,
this is the best part of the show.
we're like discovering.
You guys get honest. Wait, hold on. She said,
hold on. We're gonna get in an argument here. No. But I think that was a moment where I think that was good for our family.
Absolutely.
To when we'd all sit down, and we're talking about my 2 little ones here, so they're 4 and 1. But I think just us all being at the table and then saying grace over the food, and I think it just made the family, it brought the family closer, and it calmed the kids down, and the kids had a better dinner rather than throwing food around, and
they sleep better.
Everything. I mean, they don't throw
they sleep better. They sleep better.
Yeah,
they feel secure in their relationship with you and your relationship with each other. There's so many good things that happen.
Absolutely.
All right, I got time for one more question until I got office hours.
Yeah.
Let's do this one.
Yeah, no, we already did that.
This one.
Yeah, the final question. So this is totally hypothetical. And so I want you to know that it's totally hypothetical, but we're on a plane, and we ask this to everybody. We're on a plane and you're talking to your kids on the phone, and the plane's going down. what is the one piece of parting knowledge that you would like to leave with your kids so that they would take with them to live the rest of their life with?
Mine's simple. It's always be kind to your future self, do good deeds. I think life's simple. And I think if you have a kind perspective and you are just looking to do good things, that everything will take care of itself. And I truly, truly believe that of people. I tell all the time, be kind to your future self. Just pick up trash, put the carts back, smile at people, give them a hug if you can. Just if you try to be kind, not right, offended, separate, guilty, angry, anxious, frustrated, worried, all these other emotions, every time you feel one of those ego-based emotions, and you say, you know what, I just want to be kind, and you pick the good deed instead and the good thought instead, your life will turn out in a tremendous way. You'll learn that you're living just for an instant between limitlessness and infinity. So I would tell them, be kind to your future self, do good deeds. I love you both. You got to come back onto one of my other shows. Both
Yeah,
of
for
you.
sure. We'd
You guys
love
are
to.
wonderful. And when this is all over, we got to go out with my wife. All four of us.
I know, when
We'd love
dinners
it.
really open up. Where can people find you, David? Where can they find you on social media? And what are you doing right now?
Right on. Free trainings every Friday for 20 years. They're free for everyone. Just email me directly, david@dmeltzer.com, dmeltzer.com, @davidmeltzer, David Meltzer on everything else. So join me. I have a text community, 949-298-2905. Thank you both so much. Hate to scurry off. I love you.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you.
See you
Thank
later.
you so much.
Thanks, Dave.
Many
Thank
blessings.
you. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe. We love you.